to the Buncombe County Board of Education Public Board meeting for this Thursday, March the 5th. The Buncombe County Board of Education mission is to foster a culture of excellence and continuous improvement where every student will thrive and learn from exceptional educators. Our vision is for every Buncombe County school student to graduate on time, prepared to pursue their chosen path as critical thinkers and collaborative leaders in our diverse society. With that, I'll call this meeting to order. I'll ask that you all please stand for the presentation of colors. Tonight's colors are presented by Irwin High School JROTC, instructed by Chief Tony Gutierrez, Army retired, and First Sergeant Chad Previtt, Army retired. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Good evening, board. Our first order of board business is the approval of our agenda. I will ask for a motion to approve our agenda. I believe that's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Our agenda is approved, and I will pass it over to our superintendent for superintendent's comments.
Thank you. Good evening, parents, members of the community, board members, and teammates. This week we are celebrating National School Social Workers Week. We're so grateful for and dependent on the fact that our school social workers are exceptionally skilled in providing services to students who face serious challenges to school success, including disability, poverty, discrimination, abuse, neglect, mental illness, homelessness, bullying, family stressors, and other barriers to learning. The difference they make is hard to measure, but easy to feel. Thank you to each of our school social workers. I'd like to share with the board and with the community that Buncombe County Schools is hosting an educator career fair a week from Saturday on March 14th, 2026 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here. This is an amazing school system, and we're looking for incredible and dedicated educators to join our team. If you're interested in attending the job fair or in applying for a position, please call the school system or refer to our website. This evening, in just a few moments, we will once again launch our meeting with good news as we do each month, celebrating our tremendous students and teammates. Tonight, though, the celebration will not stop there. Tonight, our Associate Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Jennifer Reed, will share our mid-year assessment results for kindergarten through 12th grade. As she presents, I challenge you to count how many times she says that our mid-year assessments show growth in every single student group. Our strategic plan sets an ambitious goal in that goal of growth in every single student group. Please listen for how many times she shares that our students achieved growth in every single student group. I'm so proud of what the data shares. Clearly, our students and our teachers are amazing. When I consider their academic success, I cannot help but reflect that our teachers and staff are helping our students accomplish so much while they themselves have endured a functional pay cut from the state. North Carolina remains the only state in our country without a state budget. We are now ranked 48th for teacher pay and 50th in per pupil spending. In his budget proposal, our governor recommended a pay raise for our teachers of 10.6% over the biennium. The North Carolina House of Representatives recommended a pay raise of 8.7%. The North Carolina Senate recommended a pay raise of 3.3%. Yet, despite all three entities responsible for creating a state budget recommending a pay raise for our teachers and staff, the absence of a state budget means that there has been no pay raise for our teachers and staff. Additionally, the employee cost of health care went up this year. Increased health care cost with no raise means that functionally our teammates have had a pay decrease this year. When we celebrate the amazing accomplishments of our students through mid-year assessment results, I hope that you see the incredible dedication of our teachers and staff. Despite the financial challenges caused by the state, still they persevere. I am in so much awe of our teachers and staff. Please commit, along with me and our Board of Education, to passionately advocate at the state level for education funding our students and teachers deserve, especially for tremendous increases in the salaries of our educators. We cannot be satisfied with 48th in the nation and going backwards. I will pause and acknowledge a bright spot. The Public School Forum released the annual local school finance study this week. Among the 100 counties in our state, Buncombe County ranks 5th out of 100 counties in local appropriations per student, while ranking just 10th in tax base per student. Our commissioners and county government are to be commended for stepping in where the state has stepped away. They cannot bear the full brunt of what the state should be doing, but they are doing more on a per pupil basis than 95 other North Carolina counties are doing. We know that we still have much work to do and that we can and must continue to improve. I just want you to know that I could not be prouder of all I continue to experience in our classrooms and our schools. To our team and to our board members, thank you for all that you do for the students, families, teachers, and staff of Buncombe County Schools. Mr. Chair, this concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And I'll echo your call for intense advocacy among our public, on behalf of our public schools, to your local representatives, to the state government. And also, we do need to express our appreciation to our local county commissioners for the level of funding that we are receiving, approximately 35 to 37% of the entire revenue from property taxes. So thank you to them. With that, we will move into good news. Mr. Ulmer, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairman Elliott. Good evening, board members, Dr. Jackson, and BCS teammates and families. We kicked off February with National School Counselor Week. BCS Surprise Squad to honor our BCS School Counselors of the Year. So we're going to begin good news tonight, formally recognizing them. Dr. Johnson and our Student Services Leadership Team of Ms. Martin and Ms. Houchard are going to help out as we first recognize our Elementary Intermediate Counselor of the Year, and not spring a surprise on them when they're in the middle of a gazillion things, Ms. Jody Montree of Enka Intermediate. If you will please join us, please, with your principal, Emily Cox, and Ms. Lewis. One of Ms. Montree's teammates shared that she is a lifelong learner dedicated to enhancing her knowledge base and skills to best serve students, and that she is a pillar in her school community. We are so grateful for the work that you do for all of your students at Enka Intermediate. Your Elementary Intermediate BCS Counselor of the Year, Ms. Jody Montree of Enka Intermediate. Next, we honor our Middle School Counselor of the Year, Ms. Courtney Sanders from Owen Middle School. She is here with her principal, Mr. McMahon. Mr. Cheatham, if you will join us as well. Ms. Sanders' peers shared that her infectious positivity and work with student government and the school's mentor program make her an excellent choice for this honor, and we are so proud of the work that you do at your school. We should say that she was about to board a school bus. She was actually on the school bus with 8th graders coming to tour Nesbitt Discovery Academy when we held up the bus to surprise her. We're happy to celebrate her here tonight as well. Your Middle School Counselor of the Year, Ms. Courtney Sanders of Owen Middle School. Finally, we honor our High School Counselor of the Year, Ms. Emily Walters of A.C. Reynolds High School, here with her principal, Mr. Alexander, and Chairman Elliott, if you would join us, please. Ms. Walters' colleagues shared her intensive knowledge of everything, including, y'all, memorizing the numbers of all school board. Career and technical education teacher Lacey Davis. If you would join us up front, Ms. Davis, along with CTE Director Michelle Smith, Principal Stanley Wheelis, and Ms. Plemons. We've got a couple of special guests here, Karen Sumner and Brock Womble from the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. They have a special presentation for Ms. Davis.
Good evening, Superintendent Jackson and members of the board, and greetings from the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. Our statewide organization provides professional development for educators across North Carolina at our Cullowhee and Ocracoke campuses, as well as online and through school-based programs. At NCAT, we are proud to uplift teachers and the teaching profession. The recognition of excellent CTE educators is something our Executive Director, Dr. Brock Womble, is deeply passionate about. We're here this evening because of his vision and his belief in the power and purpose of career and technical education. And tonight, we're honored to celebrate an exceptional educator. Lacey Davis is the NCAT 2026 Burroughs Wellcome Fund North Carolina Career and Technical Education Teacher of the Year runner-up. For the past 20 years, Lacey has dedicated her career to serving students at Irwin High School in Buncombe County Schools. As a family and consumer sciences educator, she has built a program that prepares students not only for academic success, but for meaningful careers and leadership beyond the classroom. Ms. Davis is committed to ensuring students leave high school with real credentials and real opportunities. As a ServSafe certified instructor and proctor, Ms. Davis has credentialed hundreds of students with industry-recognized certification. She advocated for students earning these credentials to be recognized with ServSafe honor cords at graduation. As the advisor for Irwin High School's FCCLA chapter, Ms. Davis has guided students to earn many awards in FCCLA Culinary Arts, North Carolina Junior Chef Competition, and USDA Southeast Region Competition. Beyond the classroom, Ms. Davis is a leader among her colleagues and within the CTE community. She has served as CTE department chair for many years, mentoring new teachers and helping align programs with workforce needs. She is very involved in FCCLA leadership. She presents at state and national conferences and contributes to professional organizations that support family and consumer sciences educators. Through grant writing and partnerships, Ms. Davis has secured more than $30,000 in funding to support equipment, uniforms, and leadership experiences for her students. Ms. Davis is a National Board certified teacher, holds a master's degree in ed leadership, and has been recognized with numerous honors, including Teacher of the Year and Buncombe Asheville Innovative Educator Award. Many students describe her as a mentor and a role model, someone who not only teaches them skills, but also inspires them to believe in their own potential. For her dedication to students, her leadership in career and technical education, and her lasting impact on her school community, we are proud to recognize Lacey Davis as the runner-up for the NCAT CTE Teacher of the Year Award. Please join me in congratulating her for her contributions.
Congratulations, Miss Davis and Miss Sumner and Mr. Womble. Thank you so much for coming to visit us to celebrate this achievement. Now, hang on. I'd like Mr. Wheelis, if you would stay, and Miss Plemons, if you'd stay, and if you would stay as well. We have more to tell you about Miss Davis, because some of the people she works with have done some pretty remarkable things. We would like to bring down the Irwin High culinary team, the Taste Bud Trailblazers. Those students are here with us tonight. Riley McCone, Shelby Sitton, Olivia Cook, who is helping out with the JROTC tonight. Ms. Katie Wyatt, our nutrition director, if you would join us as well. Dr. Reed is going to help present them with special honors. So let me tell you about the Taste Bud Trailblazers. They competed in the North Carolina Junior Chefs Competition. They were tasked with developing an innovative recipe that could one day appear on a school lunch menu made with local ingredients. They had to present it to a panel of experts. It was very top chef. They developed their sweet spadilla, a warm golden grilled whole grain quesadilla filled with creamy sweet potatoes, seasoned black beans, and a bold blend of cheeses paired with a kale and apple salad. And that delicious dish earned them second place in the state, a great celebration as we wrap up Career and Technical Education Month. Congratulations to the Irwin High School Taste Bud Trailblazers. Also this evening, we would like to honor our National Board Certified Teachers. Mr. Phil Justin, who coordinates the MBC program for Buncombe County Schools, is here to share a little bit more about what that is all about. And then we will honor our MBC teachers who are here with us this evening. Mr. Justin.
Thank you, Mr. Elmer. Hi, everyone. I am so honored to be here today to honor some outstanding educators. I am so proud to say that this year we have 19 newly certified National Board teachers, and we have 21 teachers who have successfully maintained their certification. All told, that brings our number to 309 Nationally Board Certified educators in our Buncombe County School District. Pretty big. And just to give you a little sense of what this achievement means, I'd like to share just a little bit about the process. So what these teachers need to do to achieve this certification is to take a test on their content knowledge and their pedagogy. They need to submit student work samples that demonstrate their ability to differentiate and meet the needs of all learners in their classroom. They need to also submit video recordings of themselves teaching robust lessons that reach all of those learners. And finally, they need to design and deliver assessments that accurately depict where a student is in their learning journey. For the students, what this means is that they can expect an environment of high expectations, where they're seen and heard, where all students then are able to meet those goals by being served by that teacher. And lastly, they can expect to develop the skill set that they'll need both inside and outside of school. It's a big deal. I'd also like to acknowledge a few people in this process as well. So for the family, friends, and colleagues that surely supported these National Board teachers on their way, I thank you. For these teachers who surely demonstrated determination, energy, and grit, as the process to certification is anything but linear and often can be a bit arduous. What these educators represent is the very best in our profession, and through their commitment and leadership, makes our district all that much stronger. So please join me in recognizing these folks with a round of applause, our newly certified and maintaining National Board Certified teachers.
All right, Mr. Justin, if you'll join us up front, Dr. Reed's going to help us with the honors, and we'll do it by district. We'll begin with Ms. Lewis. If you'll join us up front with the Enka District. Jennifer Banks of Candler Elementary. Rachel Curcio of Candler Elementary. Adi Padilla of Candler Elementary. Renewing certification, Tammy Ramsey of Enka Intermediate. And Anna Rumler of Hominy Valley Elementary School. Your NBCTs from the Enka District, congratulations to you all. Congratulations, Jets. Ms. Clemens, if you will join us, please. We have a couple of teachers from the Irwin District celebrating their national boards tonight. Kyra Gaines and Jessica Jones, both of Clyde A. Irwin High School. Congratulations to you on achieving MBCT status. Congratulations, Warriors. Ms. Franklin, if you will join us up front, please. We have Blackhawk here to celebrate renewing her national boards. Tara Teague of North Windy Ridge Intermediate. If you will join us up front, please. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Mr. Cheatham, if you will join us up front, please. We're going to celebrate a couple of teachers from the Owen District renewing certification. Jennifer Anderson, who serves at both W.D. Williams and Pisgah Elementary School, and Christy Lindsay of Black Mountain Primary School. Congratulations on your national board status. Congratulations to you. Ms. Churchill, if you will join us, please. We have some MBCT Rams to celebrate, beginning with Gabby Godfrey of Avery's Creek Elementary School, Ivy Helms of Kuntz Intermediate, and Julie Wimbish of Kuntz Intermediate. Congratulations to our National Board Certified Rams. And finally, Mr. Elliott, if you would join us, we do have a Rocket who was able to celebrate with us tonight. Coach David Honey of A.C. Reynolds High School. We would love to celebrate you as a National Board Certified teacher. Congratulations, Coach Honey. Congratulations, sir. Chairman Elliott, if you will stay up front with us, please. I would also like to call down our district athletics specialist, David Ball, as we honor a BCS community partner. Robert Corris and Nicholas Holmberg from PT Solutions, if you could please join us up front. PT Solutions provides care to our middle and high school student athletes, also provides mentoring and internship opportunities for students who are exploring sports medicine as a career. We are grateful for the dedicated service that this team provides to our school communities and as our students work to lead the climb from the classroom to the competition field. Thank you so much for how you serve our school communities. PT Solutions. And finally, speaking of those athletes, you may have noticed we've got a lot of folks in the room with shiny hardware hanging around their necks. We would love to honor our state champions and runners-up in swimming and indoor track and field. We begin with Nesbitt student Wyatt Peel, pole vaulter on the T.C. Robertson team. He's here with coaches Julie Lovin and Jason Stanley. I believe Nesbitt principal Tara Lothar is here, and Rams principal Nathan Allison. Reverend Martin and Miss Churchill, if you would please join us up front as well, along with Mr. Peel, who achieved second place in the state 6A pole vault event, hitting the 12.6 mark and making the Rams and the entire school system very proud. Congratulations, Wyatt Peel of T.C. Robertson High School, on your state runner-up award. Chairman Elliott, if you will join us up front again, we've got some Reynolds Rockets to celebrate. Coach Honey, if you will join us again with Principal Ben Alexander. We'll first celebrate student athlete Gus Simmons. Gus is your 6A state champion in the 1,000-meter event with a time of 2:28, which sets a new 6A state record. Congratulations to you, Mr. Simmons. Now, we'll have y'all wait there, please, because we've got some more teammates from the Rockets coming. Trey Stone, Levi Ager, Julian Coladonato, and Zach Lawson make up the team. These athletes make up the group that are not only the state runners-up in the men's 4x400, they are your North Carolina 6A state champions in the men's 4x800 with a time of 7:58, which also sets a new 6A state record. Congratulations, Reynolds Rockets. And they were unable to be with us this evening, but we also want to congratulate Rocket athletes June Lease, Jolene Holman, Elisa Brennan, and Stella Redmond with a time of 9:50. They are your state runner-up women's 6A team in the 4x800. So congratulations to those athletes as well. Mr. Sheedham, if you will please join us, we honor Owen High School's Craig Webb with Owen High Assistant Principal Nathan Paget and Coach Bob Saddlemeyer. If you will all come forward, please. Mr. Webb earned the 3A state championship in the 1,600-meter run with a time of 4:28. But wait, there's more. He then went on to become the 3A 3,200-meter champion with a time of 9:47. He is another repeat visitor here to a board meeting. We celebrated him for a state championship in the fall. Craig, we are so proud of you for adding more hardware to the Warhorse collection. Congratulations. Finally, Miss Franklin and Reverend Martin, if you will please join us up front. We want to celebrate two state champions from Nesbitt Discovery Academy on teams at North Buncombe High School. First, we honor Lily Shelley. If you will please join us with Principals Tara Lothar and Kevin Yance, and coaches Kim and Robert Moffitt. Miss Shelley is your 5A state champion in the 100-yard breaststroke with a time of 1:02, more than 2 seconds ahead of her nearest challenger, bringing a state title home to the Blackhawks. Lily, congratulations on all of your hard work and success. And we close it out tonight with a member of the North Buncombe track team. We welcome back Michael Ferguson with coaches Jane Rohn and Jeff Capps. Mr. Ferguson was also not content with just one state title. He is your 5A champion in both the men's 1,600 and 3,200 meter runs. His 1,600-meter time of 4:10 breaks a record that stood for 23 years. It's gone. His closest competitor was 11 seconds behind. 2 more championships for the Blackhawks, courtesy of Michael Ferguson. Congratulations to you. We recently had some championship wrestlers as well. We look forward to honoring them next month. If our good news honorees can follow my friends Tim and Michaela out with the cameras. And a quick reminder, more good things happening at every school at buncombeschools.org. You can also follow Buncombe Schools on social media. Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ulmer. That's a lot of good news. I don't think I've met her before. Congratulations to all those outstanding folks in our school system. Certainly exciting to see and great to hear such good news. Next on our agenda, we will move into our strategic plan highlight. I believe Dr. Reed has a BCS mid-year data update. Dr. Reed, you have the floor.
Good evening, Chairman Elliott, Dr. Jackson, and members of the board. This is really a continuation of our good news section. As Dr. Jackson has already shared with everyone, we've got a lot of great news to share with our BCS mid-year data, and I do expect our students up there to continue to hoop and holler for academics just like you did during the original good news section. All right, you ready? Here we go. So when we talk about what we're doing in our school system with academics, it's very, very important for us to ground our work in our strategic plan and in our core beliefs, because truly our core beliefs, if you read them and think about them and reflect on them, they are designed to set the conditions for high levels of learning. When we engage students, when we collaborate, connect, when we work closely with our families and community partners, when we are intentional about supporting our educators, and when we as a whole and you as a board invest for equity and excellence, we're setting those conditions for the levels of student learning we're going to celebrate tonight. When we think about our strategic plan, in goal 1, this is the goal we think about most. It's all around academics. But in addition, some other measures of proficiency. I'll read this goal to you. Every school will meet or exceed growth while increasing proficiency in all content areas and all student groups. Yes, our plan says subgroups, but I love the phrase student groups because they're all important. As measured by multiple indicators of progress, that happens to include state assessments. We spent a lot of time in the fall talking about state assessment data. Today we're going to look at some different data sets to show how we're progressing in the middle of the school year. And of course, the work that we launched in August directly ties into this particular goal. And so in Strategy 1.1, where it talks about instructional practices outlined in our BCS framework, this is the instructional framework that we're really working hard this year to implement across our school system in every single classroom. I want to revisit very briefly our conversation in the fall about growth versus proficiency. You'll remember this slide where we talked about being proficient is like running a race with a very clear finish line. How close did a student get to that finish line? Did they barely meet it? Did they exceed it? Did they not quite get there? And it really puts every student on the same playing field, measured in exactly the same way. We think proficiency most of the time when we're thinking about our end of grade or end of course tests. Growth, very different, is like running a race without a finish line. Every student starts where they start. And we take them, our amazing teachers, a lot of the ones you saw tonight, our national board teachers, take these students just as far as they can in the course of a school year or the course of one of their high school courses that they're taking. There's really no relationship there to proficiency in that finish line. It's just how far did we go? And so a lot of the measures we'll look at mid-year are really about how are we growing our students towards proficiency. We know consistent growth over time leads to greater proficiency. Love this quote. We talked about school improvement plans back in December. And those school improvement plans have goals, and those goals have action steps. But those goals and action steps don't mean much unless you wrap them in a systematic approach. Goals are good for setting direction, but the systems are best for actually making progress. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the systems we have in our school system for making progress. I want to talk to you very briefly about something called a multi-tiered system of support. Our state of North Carolina has adopted what we often refer to as MTSS, and it is really whole school improvement that integrates both academics and behavior for a whole child, whole school approach to school improvement. Those 6 critical components there really make up and kind of drill down what this looks like in action in a school. And so those components are leadership, building capacity and working on systems, communicating and collaborating within our school buildings. One thing we'll talk about a lot tonight is problem solving and data evaluation. We can't wait until the end of the course or the end of the school year to determine if there's learning taking place. That's why these different assessments throughout the course of the year are so important. So when we think about MTSS, we think about layers of support for students. In our strategic plan, and I'm sure you've heard before, is the idea of core instruction. Core instruction is a guaranteed curriculum, guaranteed instruction for every single student in our school system. It might be a student with an IEP. It might be a student who just arrived here from another country and is learning to speak English. But every student gets strong core instruction that's differentiated to meet their needs. And the goal through MTSS is that that core instruction meets the needs of at least 80% of our student population. That's always the goal. When students don't quite make it through core instruction and they're not quite proficient yet, is when we begin to layer on additional supports. That second layer is supplemental support. You usually see that in small group instruction through our Title I department, through our ESL department, and many of our teachers are giving interventions in small group instruction to students throughout the day. And then there's an even smaller number of students who need more intensive support. Maybe that's one-on-one or a small group or a different curriculum or extended time. But our schools are very, very thoughtful about how they use data to navigate students and make sure they have the level of support that they need to succeed. In fact, MTSS is so important it appears in a board policy. Board Policy 3405 is entitled Students at Risk of Academic Failure. And really, it just states that the goal of the board is that all students will make adequate academic progress each year. And thereby, they will acquire the skills necessary for secondary education and career success. And so to ensure that level of success and progress of our students, every school has to have a multi-tiered system of support built out within their school building. The last thing about MTSS I'll share with you is that there are a variety of types of assessments that make up a true multi-tiered system of support. Tonight, we're going to really focus mostly on universal screeners. Those are really skills-based assessments. They help us judge and determine the strength of core instruction They also help us identify students who might need a little bit more, the supplemental and intensive layers of support, as well as students who already have mastered the content and need enrichment. Tonight I'll share data with you around kindergarten, our kindergarten through 8th grade reading, and also kindergarten through 8th grade math universal screeners. Our teachers are constantly designing and using unit-based assessments around the curriculum that we deliver. They discuss those regularly in professional learning communities. In addition, NC check-ins are not a new assessment, but we're taking a very purposeful approach this year to the administration of NC check-in assessments. They look like a much shorter version of an end of grade or an end of course test. They are based on have students mastered the standards to the depth of the standard. And so it gives a different type of information to teachers as they adjust their instruction for the rest of the year. We've administered those check-ins in math for 4th through 8th grade, reading in 4th through 8th grade, middle school and high school math 1, as well as 5th grade, 8th grade science, and biology throughout the course of this school year. On top of that, the 2 last assessments are just frequent, common formative assessments that teachers give just to get a little pulse check on student understanding. We won't talk about results to those tonight because that's what teachers use in the moment. And when they're really, at the end of the day, they might have an index card where where students have answered a quick question about their learning. And teachers might sort that index card out at the end of the day, and then the next day, they might say, oh my, I didn't quite teach this the way most of my students need it, and go back and reteach it. Or they may say, oh, I've got a handful of students who need a little bit of extra tomorrow. And that happens very regularly in our classrooms. And then the type of assessment we're all very familiar with, we call that summative. It's at the end of the course or the end of the year, and that's our end of grade and end of course test. So everything you see tonight, for the most part, is what are we doing now to ensure that our students make the level of growth needed to get closer and closer to proficiency and beyond. All right, we're going to dig into some data. We're going to start with kindergarten. You may be very familiar with the Read to Achieve law in the state of North Carolina. And we think of RTA, or Read to Achieve, as all about 3rd grade proficiency. But in fact, Read to Achieve starts in kindergarten with the requirement of a kindergarten entry assessment. That assessment is formative. It's very quick. It's observation-based. There's a checkpoint at day 30 of the school year, so really back at the end of September. There's another checkpoint at day 60, which is the end of October. For those assessments, kindergarten teachers are very busy the first few months of school, doing some tasks with students that help them see where they are on a range of skills: social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, and math. After day 60, the teachers use those to gauge instruction, but they're not formally reassessed again unless a need presents itself, especially if a student is being considered for retention. We also use kindergarten early or entry assessment for students who have special needs, and they need kind of a more diagnostic view of how they're progressing in each of those domains. I'm going to give you just a quick sample of some results, and this is this past fall of 2025 at the top, and then fall of 2024. We all remember what happened in fall of 2024, right? It was an interesting fall. And so when we think about this early learning inventory in fall of 2024, it was administered on day 60 after the hurricane. So our students had missed almost a month of school. The results are fascinating to compare. This one not as different. So in fall of 2024, 45% of kindergartners were below expectations in managing their feelings. In fall of this year, a little bit less than that, 37% were below expectations. So those are fairly comparable to each other. When you get into literacy and you get into math, the discrepancies are large. In the fall of 2024, 82% of our kindergartners were below expectation in literacy. Again, that was after the hurricane, after missing a month of school. If that doesn't tell you how important school is, nothing does for a kindergartner's development. And then fall of this year, much smaller number, 40% of students were below expectations in literacy. Very, very significant correlation with the missed school days. You see the same trend here in math. 91% of students below expectations in math right after the hurricane, whereas at about the same time this school year, 47% were below expectations. All that to say the readiness of our kindergartners this year to learn was really, really high. And additional data will actually back that up and show these high levels of learning. There's incredible growth across every single student group in kindergarten literacy. This is an assessment of literacy skills, and the bar raises every time the assessment is given. So at BOY, which is the beginning of the year, you can see what percentage of our students were proficient. So overall, 21% of our kindergarten students in September were proficient in literacy skills as measured by the Dibbles Reading Assessment. This is a state-required universal screener. At the middle of the year, altogether, 52% of our kindergartners were proficient in reading, and you can see the breakdown there by every single student group. Very, very significant growth in all of those student groups. A lot to celebrate there. And believe it or not, our kindergarten students usually make the most growth between the middle of the year and the end of the year, because we kind of there's so many entry points for kindergarten students who may or may not have exposure to a lot of this learning and been in pre-K programs, that the beginning of the year really is kind of a leveling the playing field for all of our students. Now I'm going to show you some grouped data. This is the same assessment, but it combines all of kindergarten and 5th grade together across all student groups from the beginning of the year, again, to the middle of the year. What you'll see there in the right-hand column is and I'm calling this growth because we had more proficient students from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. And there is growth across every single student group in Buncombe County Schools when you look at kindergarten through 5th grade together. Now, when our schools give this assessment, they take the time to break this down, not just at the school level, not even just at the grade level, but at the teacher level, and then down to each student. And then they use that multi-tiered system of support to ensure that they're adjusting instruction and providing exactly what students need to move forward and to grow. Because we are talking a little bit about a systematic approach to school improvement, I wanted to highlight some of the great work that's happening. Here you'll see pictures of teachers and instructional coaches who are participating in some professional learning, which is an important component of what we do in our core beliefs to support teachers to do this work. This year, Ms. Ponder and her coaches have started an Elevate BCS Literacy series where there's a teacher leader from every single school coming together to build capacity in their knowledge to teach reading, and then they go back to their schools and they serve as literacy leaders in each of their schools. And then here are a few pictures of intervention at work. This is that supplemental layer of support. There's our Title I teacher, Ms. DeWeese Emma, who's amazing, and also an ESL teacher at Woodfin who does incredible work there. Now we're still on the reading train here. For 6th through 8th grade reading, so we switched from the Dibbles assessment to a different assessment called MAP, M-A-P. And this is also a skills-based universal screener. And this is a little bit different to read, not quite as straightforward. So it's important on the left there where it says MAP classifies students who are above the 40th percentile for achievement as in the average range or higher. So we're looking at the percentage here of proficiency is actually a student who's at 40th percentile or higher. And so what you'll see there in the all student group is at the beginning of the year, 67% of students in 6th through 8th grade were at or above the 40th percentile in achievement on this test. And at the middle of the year, 70% of students were at or above the 40th percentile for achievement. And so there's that +3 there. Again, the bar raises at the middle of the year. So we've not only maintained that 67, but we pulled some students into the land of proficiency who didn't start the year there. And that's something to celebrate. And then in the right-hand column, it's a different measure. MAP sets a growth goal for every student. This is the percentage of students who met that growth goal that MAP sets for them based on the prior trajectory of their MAP data. And so MAP does give us some pretty rich data. I'm actually going to show you a quadrant graph or two that helps you kind of see where the growth and the proficiency align there. Kindergarten through 8th grade. I love that Dr. Sumner was here tonight talking about NCAT. We partner with NCAT. And this year, we've been very intentional about having our middle school teachers go through a badging program with NCAT, where they come here and they provide reading training on the science of reading for our middle school teachers. And so we're continuing to onboard and fund for those teachers to be here to be in that training. Now we're going to switch gears to math. Now, for math, we use the same assessment. It is the MAP assessment for kindergarten through 8th grade. The state does not have a required universal screener in math yet. I'm hopeful that maybe one day they'll be able to fund that for us. But we know how important that is for us to be able to see where our students are and help them grow. And so again, the 40th percentile applies here in math as well. All of our students, there were 68% of students at the beginning of the year, K through 8th grade combined, who were at or above the 40th percentile in achievement. And in the middle of the year, 70% of students were at or above the 40th percentile. You can also see in that right-hand column again, that's the percentage of students who met their growth goals as determined by MAP. There, we really are looking at least 50% or higher to show that we're making growth. Here, again, every single student group that MAP reports showed growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and we are so proud of that. Just a quick view of a quadrant graph. I did pick 5th grade math on purpose. That was an area in the fall that we took a look at. That was an area of opportunity for us. You may remember that last year was the first year of the implementation of a new math curriculum in Buncombe County schools. It also happened to be the year of the hurricane. Implementing a new curriculum, research shows, will cause you a bit of a dip in proficiency scores. Implementing a curriculum in the year that you have a hurricane, I don't know that there's a lot of research on that, but we could submit some data for that. And so I think math last year was difficult, right, to grow. You can even see on the kindergarten early learning assessment that math skills were hit harder than reading skills after kindergartners missed 30 days. But what this does tell you is that every dot represents one school in Buncombe County Schools that has 5th grade. Almost every school is above the 50th percentile in achievement, and that's the right half of the graph. So the y-axis is where we're going to show achievement. Everything to the right is above 50th percentile. And then most of our schools are very close to or above the 50th percentile for growth. Again, the middle flat horizontal line, the x-axis there, is growth. And so you can see that some of our schools are at 50% or above in growth, but not all of them. And what that tells me is that our schools have some work to do to continue making sure our students are growing at the rate that they need to be, even more proficient. MAP is a different type of test. It's not an end of grade test. It does not measure the same thing that an end of grade test does. It does not measure standards, it measures skills. And MAP will actually give us a correlation between how a student's growing and what their score is to what they would be expected to achieve on an end of grade test. What's most important about this data is that our teachers are using the data now. They have been over the last 6 to 8 weeks as it comes in. They're using that to adjust instruction and to group students in a way that's going to help them grow. This is the same data for 7th grade math. What I noticed first is in that lower left quadrant, that's where we don't want any dots. And guess what? There are no dots there. That means that most of our schools are above that growth line. Quite a few are well above the growth line. We have 3 that are below. And all but one of our schools is to the right of that achievement line, the right of the x-axis, which shows that they're above the proficiency target for high proficiency. And so the 7th grade data mid-year looks a little bit better than the 5th grade data does in terms of growth and proficiency. But again, the beauty of this data is that our teachers are using it to adjust instruction. For kindergarten through 8th grade math systems, one of the things I wanted to highlight on the left are our 2 district math coaches, Christine Schmidt and Meg McKee. They're doing math lesson labs at every single one of our schools with 5th grade and making sure that those teachers have an opportunity to plan lessons together, to observe and to reflect and to improve their implementation of the math curriculum. And on the right, you can see wonderful Principal Josh Fisher there from Evelyn, and he, along with all of our principals of 5th grade, are participating in middle of the year data digs with their teachers, where they're digging into this data and making adjustments in instruction. And we also, in these pictures, a lot of our coaches are here and teachers. We make sure to include and incorporate EC and ESL. As I said a few minutes ago, EC, ESL is part of core instruction. And we want to make sure that all of those teachers get the professional learning and support they need. Now, I'm going to switch gears real quick. We're almost there. To high school end of course test. There is a disclaimer here at the bottom of this graph because typically it's hard to compare high school scores one semester to another because there's a lot of variability in which classes they offer from semester to semester. In the first semester, they may have more honor sections, fewer honor sections from year to year. So I share this a bit hesitantly, but it is the data that we have. And it's great data comparing fall EOC scores from 24-25 to this year. There is a positive change in the number or percentage of students who are proficient in every single tested subject area in our high school, which is biology, English 2, Math 1, and Math 3. And I'll just stop to celebrate that, even with that disclaimer at the bottom. I think there's something to be said for that. Of course, we'll take a look next summer and fall, about where we land at the end of this school year compared to next school year. And I did get permission from my high school principals to share that. Math 1 is also an area that you may remember when I shared results in the fall that we're continuing to work and refine our practices. One of the things we do is work with our principals, our incredible principals, and just practice giving feedback based on our new instructional framework. This picture actually was from last week at Owen High School, where Dr. Lanahan led all of our secondary principals. We went into classrooms together, we used walkthrough forms, and we practiced giving very, very simple feedback based on the elements of the framework. And every one of us was able to get into some Math 1 classrooms and have great conversations about what we saw and how we can be instructional leaders in the school building. Finally, a quick repeat of some things that Michelle Smith, our CTE director, shared last month. Strategic Goal 3 is all around preparing our students for the future and work-based learning. Our credentials are well on the way this year to far exceeding our number of credentials at the end of last year. We're excited about that. That does not happen by chance. It happens by design. There's been a lot of very intentional work from the director level to the principal level to all of our teachers to ensure that these credentials are being earned. And alongside that, our work-based learning opportunities, which includes internships and apprenticeships and a few other ways that we do work-based learning. Our fall numbers are set to show that we're set up to well exceed last year's numbers as well for work-based learning. Our EC department has been doing some intentional collaboration with our university partners. Dr. Pennington from Western Carolina University on the left, and then right beside that in the middle of the screen, Dr. Pam Mims from ETSU have been providing some intentional professional learning for all of our EC teachers. And Pam Mims, especially at PEP, she's been there this year observing, giving feedback, and she has developed a full professional learning plan with PEP that she's already implementing and will continue to do so through next year. We're so appreciative of her support. And then a couple pictures just for fun. At the top right, our Deaf Ed program at Bell Elementary is precious if you have never visited. They're doing some great work there. And on the bottom right, you can see some sweet little examples, students from our EC pre-K programs. We have 5 sites throughout our district that serve pre-K through our special education program, and they got a grant from Tanger to refurbish their sensory and calm spaces in their room. And then just last week as well, Dr. Connor partnered with Ms. Ponder with our elementary and intermediate principals as they did a session on EC scheduling, focused on the students with the most intensive needs and how they can build their schedules around those needs. It was a very interactive, hands-on session, and that's the first of a series that Dr. Connor will be doing with our principals throughout the course of this year. And she'll be doing that alongside Dr. Lanahan at our secondary meeting coming up in just a few weeks. Very, very beneficial session. So when we're thinking about student outcomes, we want to set the conditions through those core beliefs. We want to layer on systems of support through a multi-tiered system of support. And then we want to make sure in every single classroom that we are putting that BCS framework in action.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I share your excitement about the results of your mid-year review there. That was amazing. just look at how much our community has come together, focused on children and education since Hurricane Helene. And I can't imagine, I mean, that's an intensive amount of work to pick up that, month of lost education and continue to grow year over year like that is really impressive. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, thank you, Dr. Reed. They
Chair-
were listening.
Yes, Chairman Elliott, I want to echo your, what you said earlier about this presentation. I mean, this proves the hard work that's going on in these schools. And one of the first things that you talked about was students identifying things that they needed extra help with as a sub for those 4 years. I was in several classrooms that at the end of the class, kids had to write down what did they learn today, what was one thing that they were confused about or needed extra help with, and then the plan for the following day was how to make sure those kids were learning, or particularly those that needed the extra help. So I've seen it in action, and I want to say thank you to all these fabulous teachers out there that are doing this work every single day, not just with doing their job as a teacher, but also all the other things that they have to do to assist with our children every day. So thank you, and thank you, Dr. Reed, for your leadership.
That is the most enthusiasm I've heard after a data presentation. Thank you. It's deserving, though. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have our Superintendent, Dr. Jackson, going to give us an update on an EC funding update. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, members of the community, certainly my incredible staff and teammates, the wonderful folks I get to work with every single day. I, again, want to echo the board's remarks in the absolutely outstanding results we just saw in our mid-year data. Every single student group at every single grade level showing growth. As Dr. Reed has said many times, that doesn't just happen. It happens because of the intentional, purposeful work, because of the love, care, and dedication of our teachers, our staff, and our administrators, all those who pour so deeply into all of our students, each and every one of our students. And I'm so very proud of that work. I'd like to change the course of our conversation a bit this evening to something that's incredibly important, to talk about an update for our board as we are in budget season, in the early stages of budget season, looking at the totality of our budget as we prepare for the 2026-2027 school year. As I referenced earlier in my superintendent's comments, we still operate without a state budget for this current school year, and we're well into our third 9 weeks moving towards spring break and yet to have a state budget before us, with lots of challenges because of that. Despite that, our board is still required to present a balanced budget and a budget request as we go forward, and so we do that work. And so I want to take a moment to spend some time looking in a very specific area in our school system, an area that we're extremely proud of the hard work, but an area that is so deeply embedded in the hearts of Buncombe County Schools teammates, the work that we do with our students in the Exceptional Children's Program. And so to begin that conversation, I want to embed that conversation in our state constitution. In the state of North Carolina, we're blessed to be one of only 3 states in the entire country, just 3 states in the entire country, that puts in our state constitution the right to a sound basic education for every child in our state. As a Tar Heel, and not related to that university, as a member, as a citizen, as a child of the state, I'm proud that we guarantee every child in our state, in our Constitution, the privilege of education. Our Constitution says in Article 1 in Section 15, the people have a right to the privilege of education, and it is the duty of the state to guard and maintain that right. The state constitution says this is the duty of the state to ensure our children, regardless of zip code in the state of North Carolina, have the access to that sound basic education. Further in the Constitution, in Article 9, Section 2, it goes on to say the General Assembly shall provide by taxation and otherwise for a general and uniform system of free public schools, which shall be maintained at least 9 months in every year, and wherein equal opportunities shall be provided for all students. Now, I'm not the attorney and don't pretend to be that Mr. Shatley is, but in my school law classes, our professors said when you read a statute, or you read a constitution in this case, and it has the word shall, you should probably raise your voice a little bit because you don't get a choice in the matter. We shall do, and it here, to just break it out and let go of some of those words, this same words here, highlighting mine, the General Assembly shall provide a general and uniform system of free public schools wherein equal opportunities shall be provided for all students. All students. Every student matters, regardless of whether they're students in our AIG program, our ESL program, whether they're students who are a part of that 80% core all day long. They are guaranteed in our Constitution the education they so richly deserve and are so worthy of. We are required in our Exceptional Children's Program to ensure this comes from federal statute, referred to as IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and you see the citation there, to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free, appropriate public education that emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs and prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. We have no choice, nor would we want one, in providing for the needs of every single one of our students. Not only is it what is in our heart, it is what we're required to do by federal statute, by our state constitution, by board policy at the state level, and by this board's policy. The bottom line, every student who meets the criteria must be served fully. There's no caveat there related to funding. It simply says every student who meets the criteria must be served fully. And that is what we do. We are very proud. As I share this funding update, I don't want it to be heard as an excuse. There's some challenge around funding, but not challenge around serving our children. We are honored and blessed and privileged to serve every one of our almost 22,000 students, every single one. We're blessed to serve 3,028 school-age students, so K-12 students, with our special education and related services, referred to as Exceptional Children's Services. And so just for a reference point, 3,000 of our almost 22,000 students are served in our Exceptional Children's Services program. I'd like to draw your attention to some numbers. So as our wonderful Chief Finance Officer has shared with us, much of our state budget is based on ADM, average daily membership or enrollment. The state changed to a model called funding in arrears. So the funding we receive is based on the enrollment from the previous year. In a growing district, that's great. In a district that you're losing enrollment, it can help you out for one more year. And so funding in arrears typically is a good thing for school systems. In this case, though, it didn't help us. It hurt us. And so these numbers are based on our December 1 head count, or our child find numbers. So when we look at this year's data, the number of students being served, our program membership in our Exceptional Children's Program, we see that we're serving 212 students in the preschool program. That's students who are typically aged 3 and 4 years of age. From our kindergarten students to those who are 21 years of age. Within the EC population, we serve students up to 21 years of age before they're required to be exited. We serve 2,816. That number represents 13.12% of our overall population, an important percentage that I'll come back to in just a moment. When we look at all of our students that we serve through our Exceptional Children's Program, starting in preschool age 3 through age 21, that number is 3,028 that I referenced earlier, which represents 13.9% of our total enrollment. Now, as we compare that to last year, important comparison, because remember, we're now funding in arrears, so using last year's numbers, you see that our preschool numbers were 192, kindergarten through age 21 was 2,603, all total, age 3 through age 21, 2,795. The bottom of the slide, I have that enrollment change from last year's numbers to this year's numbers. You'll see from preschool students, there's a almost 10.5% increase. Kindergarten through age 21, there's a over 8% increase. All told, an increase of 8.3%. That's a huge increase when we look at funding being based on last year. So our funding was based on 24-25 numbers. That is that much less than the numbers we're actually serving this year. As we look at that, though, I want to dive a little bit deeper in a specific funding area called PRC 32. I'll remind the board, PRC stands for Program Report Code. It's a part of the way Ms. Thorpe and her peers track all the numbers. Our initial planning allotment for 2024-25, you see, was $16 million. There was some adjustments made through the year of $899,000 for a total allotment for the 24-25 year of just over $17 million. For 25-26, our planning allotment was $15,384,000. As you look, that's a almost $1 million decrease in the planning allotment. That statement, this planning allotment, is $775,287 less than last year's initial planning allotment, is a quote that I took out of an email that our Chief Finance Officer sent to DPI in May of 2025 when she said, wait a minute, there's an issue with the numbers. You see, the numbers are based on the lower end of the 13% cap or the December child find numbers. December last year, we were coming out of a hurricane. Some of our most vulnerable families were struggling through that hurricane and had left the area. Many came back, but our numbers, hence our budget this year, was based on that December count last year following the hurricane. So when we look at the budget we have for this year, we have our planning allotment at $15,384,000. You'll see there's been some adjustments of less than $500,000, about $400,000. So our current allotment for this year, serving more students based on the numbers we just looked at, is about $1.2 million less than we had last year. Now remember, we have to serve every student. There's no caveat for funding. So we continue to serve all of our students. Now, PRC 32, as an example, the state funding is calculated at $5,593. And I apologize for really getting into the weeds, but I think this is important. It's calculated at $5,593 for each child in the Exceptional Children's Program. That number is capped, as I mentioned a moment ago, at the lesser of either our December 1 head count or 13% of our ADM or our enrollment. I will pause to say that 13% is an arbitrary number based on nothing. It's a number that was pulled out of the air. We have fought for a long time to have that cap increased or done away with. Simply fund the students for the number of students we have, and let's move on. It was an arbitrary number, and so many districts across the state have a greater than 13% population of students who are being served because they have to be served because we want to serve them. We want to do all we can for our students, and yet we're not being funded the way we need to be funded by the state, who again has the constitutional duty to provide for our schools. And so I return to our total ADM, our enrollment, of 21,467 students, with 2,816 identified as exceptional children. That's a percentage of our population of 13.12%. That's above the funding cap. And so if, for a moment, we said this additional $5,593 per student in the Exceptional Children's Program was adequate, notice I said if, the shortfall we would have is $138,000. $138,000 is significant when it comes to serving our students. Again, if that $5,000, almost $5,600 per student was adequate, we are short $138,000 based on what I've just shared with you. I don't think anyone would say that was adequate. As an example, one of the places I love to be, because it may be one of the happiest places in Buncombe County, is our progressive education program. And so I highlight it simply as an example. We're so very proud of our PEP program, as we call it. It is a loving place with amazing children, and we're so grateful that parents trust us to serve their children. It's home to 114 students. To serve those students' needs based on their needs as we're required to and as we love to requires 97 people and the equivalent of 91 full-time equivalent positions. So 91 positions, and I've given examples of the wonderful teammates we have there. Teammates like EC, or exceptional children's teachers. Teammates like instructional assistants and nurses and speech-language pathologists. Teammates like social workers and behavior outreach specialists. Teammates like autism specialists and EC coordinators. Teammates like job coaches and occupational therapists. Teammates like physical therapists and teammates like our visually impaired teacher and bus drivers, et cetera, et cetera. The total personnel cost for the 114 students served at PEP is $6,183,766, or broken down, $54,244 per student. Remember, I just showed under PRC 032 that the state is providing about $5,600 per student. And so you see the difference there. Again, we love our students. We want to serve our students. We will serve our students. The state is supposed to fund the service of our students. And so I continue on. Using last year, 2024-2025 as an example, because it's a completed year, it's an audited year. You received the audit from our independent auditors who said there were no findings because our finance team and bookkeepers and principals did such a great job of pinching every penny and tracking every dollar. From 2024-25, you will see that we allocated and spent $12,513.34 for every student in our Exceptional Children's Program. The state of North Carolina only provided our school system a total allotment of $8,132.53 per student for our program, resulting in a shortfall of $4,380 per student, or a total shortfall in last school year of $13,278,235.11. Now, we served our students, and we didn't go $13 million into the hole, but the way we did that was what I shared in the superintendent's comments. Our county has stepped in where our state stepped away. And so because our commissioners provide local dollars, we are able to serve our students. If the state were providing what they are constitutionally required to, those local dollars could be used to continue to enhance our program and expedite and speed growth for all of our students, including those students in the Exceptional Children's Program. And so I return again to the North Carolina Constitution. The people have a right to the privilege of education, and it is the duty of our state to guard and maintain that right. And so as I share this EC funding update, I do so committing to our board and our team and our families and community that we will continue to passionately advocate for every single student. I'm so proud of our work when it comes to being great fiscal stewards of the resources that have been provided to our school system. We are making it work. We need our partners, in this case, the state of North Carolina, to step up. Mr. Chair, this concludes my update, and I'd be honored to answer any questions, or certainly would lean into our attorney or our chief finance officer if the questions get too deep for me.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jackson, for that impassioned information there about the state of EC funding in our state and how we bridge that gap locally to best serve every student in our care. So thank you for all that you do to make sure that it happens, regardless of the state's performance in that area. So with that, I'll ask the board any questions or comments for Superintendent Jackson.
Dr. Jackson, thank you for this presentation. Many people know this is a passion of mine. It's the EC population of children. And if I were a person that votes down anything to help fund our EC students, I don't know how they put their head on the pillow at night, and I hope they don't sleep a wink tonight and future nights, because this is ridiculous. Those children, I saw this on my Facebook today about children with autism, and I have a great nephew that is autistic, and it spoke to the fact that they just want to be loved. And y'all know, I've told y'all this, that my son and I go over to Irwin High, and I keep thinking about those children and what they're going through when they go home at night. For one kid, he lives in a boys' home, and so another child has parents that are very supportive. But when you look at those kids in the eyes and you say it's based on money that the state allocates, it's just not right from a human standpoint. And every child, no matter who they are, where they come from, deserve to be loved and deserve a good education. And their education is going to look really different from, my grandchildren's education. Last week it was one of the things was grooming your hair, and those kids were so excited just to stand in front of a mirror and you tell them how cute they are, and it is just the most rewarding thing that I've done. But for anyone that doesn't understand the EC world and can vote in a manner that reduces funding for those children, I'm sorry, but that is terrible. That is not okay. And voters have got to do something about it in November. Sorry, I can go on and on about EC kids. This is a big passion.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I would say the PEP program is part of my jurisdiction, and to go into the PEP program and see how hard our teachers work and how they put their heart into it, it is amazing work that you can ever see in your life. And this was my first time going to the PEP graduation, and I hope I don't get emotional, because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But Gracie she touched my heart where I will remember it for the rest of my life. Because when she walked across that stage on graduation, she looked out to her father and she said, "I did it." And that right there touched me as a parent, it touched me as a pastor, it touched me as a board member. And when you look at kids that are willing to learn, willing to do everything possible just to learn, to see how They work a tablet. They might not work the tablet like your kids do, like my kids do, but when they get it and they figure it out, it's a blessing. And TC's baseball team goes down there every single moment to help. Nathan Allison is down there every single moment helping the PEP program. So this is when you have to choose in November who serves us as our representatives. And if they don't want to do the job to take care of us, then it's our jobs to vote them out. It's our jobs to put them in a place. It's our jobs to tell them that you are here and hired by us. And I think when we start firing folk down in Raleigh, firing folk in Washington, then they will truly get the understanding that they will take care of our kids. And I stress that. And I actually go visit, go volunteer at the PEP program. Go into WMSDs, go into Valley Springs, go into TC, and they will just bless your heart on how passionate they are. And when they get something right, they don't want you to congratulate them, they congratulate themselves. And that's the part that when a child when they tell you, I did this, and they go home to their parents in the afternoon when you hear them getting on the bus, I did this, and they're telling every single person what they have done. So pray for them kids, and pray for our staff in them programs, because they stress. We don't have the funds that we need, but we need to get the funds so we can take care of them. That's right. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Reverend Martin. All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you again, Dr. Jackson, for that very important information. It is budget season for our board and our school system. And so our board and staff are busy contemplating how to best allocate the funds that we do receive from our state and federal and local governments. And this is obviously near and dear to our hearts, so timely information. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move into the public comment section of our meeting. With that, I will hand it over to our attorney, Dean Shatley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. It's time for public comment. Reminder, speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up, and speakers will have precisely 3 minutes or up to 3 minutes to speak. There is a button or a light over there on the dais. When it hits yellow, you have 30 seconds left. When it hits red, your time is up. We do ask that public commenters follow board policy. We also ask that you refrain from using profane language, making threats, or revealing confidential student or staff information. We ask that you address the board as a whole, and although the board does not respond directly to public comment, they are taking notes and listening. And I'll turn it over now to Ms. Hensley, who will call our first speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Tonight we have 10 public comments. Our first one is Isaiah Cole Bryant. If you could please state your name, and you may also want to state the district you live in. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Isaiah Cole Bryant. I'm actually not a resident of Buncombe County, but I do work for Buncombe County and have worked for Buncombe County for UNCA, also TC Robertson. And I've also am a UNCW graduate. And I'm here tonight to talk about an issue of phones. And I think this is probably an issue that y'all have heard before, and it's an issue that is prevalent in not only schools, but outside of school. And we see that Australia, for example, is the first country to ban social media for kids under 16. And I think it's something that we need to take seriously in schools, that phones are an issue, and there's no comprehensive policy for Buncombe County for phones in schools, and it makes it very anarchical in schools for teachers. Because if I'm like in my classroom, have policies for phones, and then the next class they can have the phones out all day, well then, that's what are the students getting there? They're confused. And it also doesn't show great respect for the school if they're getting let go here and having to follow certain rules here. So for me, I guess my comment is that we have more comprehensive rules for phones in school. And school is not a place to be on a phone. It's a place to learn. It's a place to socialize. It's a place to learn who you are and about the world. And we live in a very overstimulus society, and I think with phones we get very distracted, as we all can see. And kids need to be focused on each other and learning and playing and growing. So I'm not against technology. I'm just against not having proper policies in place and comprehensive policies that help our students. And it's not about just the students, it's about the educators as well, because I'm a third generation educator, and I think it's just crucial, you know. Yeah, a lot of y'all probably didn't grow up with phones, and I did somewhat, and it's only gotten worse and worse for kids. And with AI now, it's getting really scary. So, yeah, I think that's kind of my main comment, and I appreciate y'all's time. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next is Reverend Paul Benjamin. Please introduce yourself, and you may also want to state the district in which you live.
Reverend Paul Benjamin. I'm in Buncombe County, District 2, and I'm here to talk about the issues at hand. But I want to thank Dr. Jackson for mentioning we want to serve our children fully. And then I heard, and also to advocate for our children. And then I heard a lot of commissioners say we want to show our children our love. And then the pastor wrapped it up by saying he's touched by the very feelings of these children, and we need to pray for them. And I saw in the strategic plan that we want to have strong families. And this is the topic I want to talk about. I have on the website, I pulled down the anti-bullying policy of this board. And it says here, it says the board recognizes that bullying and harassing behavior creates an atmosphere of intimidation, fear, and detracts from a safe environment necessary for students' learning that may lead to serious misconduct and violence. And as tonight we saw the celebration of our counselors, and I'm sure because of the mental health of having men and women in the girls' bathrooms and locker rooms leads to this form of bullying, because the children, the girls, are ostracized if they mention any fear of being in the same room with a man with male genital parts. So we need to protect our children in keeping with our core values that you've just espoused tonight. That here I'm concerned, and I want to see our children fully served and stand in the gap for this generation. So I would like for you to consider to stand with our girls to protect them and to keep in continuity with your core values here tonight and your strategic plan to build strong families and to mitigate the mental health that these girls are challenged with. And I saw on the agenda we're having therapy dogs. If we bring those core values back, we will have very little need for additional budgetary expenses by bringing in therapy dogs if we as leaders hold the line and defend and stand with our girls by not having these men in their bathrooms. As we are celebrating Purim now around the world, as Esther took the courage to stand in her generation when she saw injustice, I'm asking and challenging you to take a stand for our girls in this generation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig White, please introduce yourself. You may also wish to state the district in which you live in.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Jackson. I'm Craig White from the Campaign for Southern Equality. I have been here many times talking about mirrors and windows. Tonight I wanted to tell you a story. A parents group wanted to donate copies of Marley's Pride to Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. A subcommittee of that board reviewed the book and refused the donation. They said it did not align with state statutes. They did not explain why. Is it because Marley is black? Because Marley is autistic? Because Marley goes to Pride? Because Marley uses they, them pronouns? Because the glossary includes questions like, what is a pronoun? Or what does LGBTQ stand for? They didn't explain, they just banned the book. The parents appealed that decision, and the district reversed that decision. Marley's Pride was accepted for donation because it is age appropriate, it is educational, and it provides important mirrors and windows for neurodiverse students, Black students, and LGBTQ students. Additionally, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools ended the practice of having board members review book donations, because, as our complaint pointed out, that practice violates a Supreme Court decision known as PICO, which prevents school authorities from determining what shall be orthodox in politics, religion, and other matters of opinion. Additionally, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools recommitted to the practice of doing an annual diversity audit to make sure that every school and every classroom is providing books with mirrors and windows for all of their students. And finally, the parent who brought the complaint was added to the review committee for that audit so that she could share her expertise in representation of neurodiversity. The law requires public schools to be politically nonpartisan and fair to all students. Charlotte-Mecklenburg passed the test. They ended a non-compliant practice. They were willing to admit a mistake and fix it. They leaned into their commitment to equity and fairness despite political pressure, and they even took the opportunity to improve. I look forward to seeing what Buncombe County Schools will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Brochard, please introduce yourself. You may also state the district in which you live in.
Sharon Broussard, Reynolds District. Okay. Public School Strong, us, believes Buncombe County Schools needs a written policy saying it will not coordinate with the religious organizations seeking to remove students regularly from school during the school day. The time to set the policy is before an active program pressures the district or a school principal. Not having a policy at all and leaving it up to the release time program and individual schools should never be the operating standard and will open us up to misrepresentation of our intent. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that schools may allow release time religious instruction programs during the school hours, but not that they must. The state of North Carolina has no policy either allowing or prohibiting RTRI programs in public schools. There are many reasons to reject RTRI programs in Buncombe County schools. They include liability and student safety issues due to students being taken off campus. RTRI programs inevitably infringe on instructional hours. Concerns about students who do not participate being left behind in less desirable situations. Potential coercion and division at schools and in the community. Proselytization impacting students of other faiths or no faith. LifeWise aims to convert every student to its version of Christianity. No public funds or employees can be used to facilitate a release time program, nor can resources be used for program promotion. Background checks for LifeWise employees and volunteers are not conducted to the same standard as public schools. LifeWise does not allow parents, churches, and the general public to fully review its curriculum. LifeWise Academy does not improve attendance, behavior, or school performance, contrary to statements by LifeWise. Subjects not considered core, such as art, music, and gym, are important aspects of a well-rounded education and shouldn't be cast aside to allow religious instruction during the school day. We firmly believe any disruption from learning and academic achievement is contrary to the vision of Buncombe County Schools. Every child deserves an inclusive, secular learning environment with clear separation of church and state. We have distributed to each board member and Superintendent Jackson a suggested policy for your expedited review. If the suggested addendum to BCS Policy 3532R is accepted, we recommend that all principals be notified.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you can just hand it.
Hand it, Ms. Hinton. And I will just interrupt public comment for just a moment. I had a request to take a quick 5-minute break, so we'll pause public comment here and just restart in 5 minutes, if that's okay. So, thank you. To the Buncombe County Board of Education meeting for Thursday, March 5th. We took a 5-minute break for a moment and in the middle of public comment, so we will resume public comment at this time. Proceed to call the next speakers.
Next, we have Cora Elliott and Mackenzie Wise. Please introduce yourself. You may also state the district in which you live in.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Jackson. My name is Cora Elliott.
And I'm Mackenzie Wise.
And we're here tonight representing the A.C. Reynolds High School Environmental Club. We are here to express our profound hope and enthusiastic support for the sustainability policy currently before you, which is a policy that has already earned the rigorous approval of your own policy committee. As defined in this policy, sustainability is the meeting of our current needs through behaviors, practices, and policies that do not compromise the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
As students, we spend 180 days a year within our school walls. Our school isn't just a place of learning, it's a micro-ecosystem. When we see overflowing bins, inefficient lighting, or food waste, we don't see it as a logistical issue. We see a missed opportunity for our district to lead by example. This policy isn't just about being green. It's about financial and social responsibility, healthier learning environments, and aligning our district's operations with the 21st century values we are taught in our science classrooms.
By adopting this policy, you are telling the student body that our future matters. You are turning our buildings into living laboratories where we can see the principles of the next generation science standards such as cause and effect and energy stability and action. The policy committee has already recognized these changes are feasible and beneficial. Now we look to you to bridge the gap between policy and practice.
We aren't asking for a perfect system overnight. We are asking for a commitment to progress. We hope you will vote to formally support the sustainability framework, proving that our district is not only preparing us for the world of tomorrow, but is actively working to protect it as well. Thank you for your time and for your dedication to all students in our county.
Hashtag lead the climb.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Tierney.
I'm Mary Ann Tierney, mom of an 8th grader at Valley Springs and wife of a BCS teacher. I'm also a nurse and the leader of Distraction Free Schools North Carolina. Thank you all for your service to our teachers and our students. I also want to thank Principal at Valley, Amy Roney, who strictly enforces a cell phone policy that is away for the day, allowing students to focus and to talk to each other at lunch rather than staring at their phones. As the Global Day of Unplugging kicks off tomorrow in the U.S. and 14 other countries, I'm here to share that policies that create phone-free schools from the first to the last bell of the day, or bell-to-bell policies, now have been adopted in 20 U.S. states, plus another 9 states in process. Buncombe County's policy, limited to instructional time only, allows students to be distracted by hundreds of notifications between classes, leaving them subject to social media-induced addiction, exploitation, cheating, cyberbullying, drug trafficking, and planning fights. There are now 86,000 U.S. teachers who have completed UPenn's Phones in Focus survey, which has found steep improvements in teacher satisfaction and academic outcomes with bell-to-bell policies. School violence, long-term suspensions, chronic absences, and student isolation all go down with bell-to-bell policies. Teachers who survived the school shooting in Parkland, Florida, found that children were more likely to be victims if they were trying to contact their parents by phone versus those who were instead listening to the safety instructions of the adults in front of them. This has been the national findings by the National Association of School Resource Officers. Screen time expert Emily Churkins describes this as scary versus dangerous. Scary for some to not have constant contact with their kids versus dangerous, giving children free access to social media between classes with access to risky behaviors that now has Mark Zuckerberg on trial. I ask you to enact a bell-to-bell policy that will really protect our children's academics, safety, and the sanity of our hardworking teachers and counselors. This can be done very cheaply for the cost of padded envelopes collected in milk crates at the beginning of each day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Sarah Wilcox.
Good evening. My name is the Reverend Sarah Wilcox, and I'm a parent of a Reynolds High School student, and I hope to speak about the responsibilities of liberty. I hold a Master's of Divinity, a Master's, and a BA in Political Science, and I start with that because it frames my position in the midst of a moment where constitutional protections that afford us many of our liberties are being ignored and violated at the hands of many in our federal government. My own commitment to the immigrant population stems from my commitment to the scriptures that have clear commitments to hospitality and care to visitors from a foreign land. As many of us know, our government has failed to create a working immigration system, and that has led to a deeply difficult question around immigration with deeply different understandings of how to handle it. While my commitments comes from my religious position, it is also steeped in the U.S. Constitution. I say this because words are empty when detached from the documents and commitments we have as a nation to our citizens and those who reside within our borders. My liberties come with responsibilities to ensure your liberties. While people may not have compassion for immigrants stuck in our immigration pipeline or those who would flee their homeland to come to ours, many people in the United States who are immigrants fall in this category, and they attend our schools. Their constitutional rights cannot be treated as less important than any of ours. Last month, students from many of our area high schools left campuses and staged a walkout in opposition to the actions of our ICE agents that our teenagers are capable of seeing the deeply inhumane and questionable activities of DHS only indicates the silliness of adults who would suggest they are just kids and simply don't know better. Anyone who watched the execution of Alex Preddy knows we have a problem, and today our president relieved Kristi Noem from her responsibilities. It is the voices of citizens with countless calls to our representatives. It's the voices of pastors and faith leaders across this nation recognizing the inhumane and illegal actions of our government. It is the children of our schools who walked out and said to our adults, "How can you not see this?" Today I offer thanks for Reynolds High School, where my daughter has the capacity to take AP African American Studies and an English course focused on the Holocaust and genocide. Indeed, history and the real-life experience of people in our nation and across our borders gives us insight on how to be better and to do better. The First Amendment protects adults and students who speak into the public square and demand that our government do better. I realize the activities were complicated and even bring up issues of safety for our kids. I say thank you to our school administrators, to our county staff and board for respecting constitutional rights, for holding the tension, and seeing the second strategic goal of collaboration and connect in action, which hopes that students apply their learning to real-world challenges today and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shanna Pill, please introduce yourself. You may also state the district in which you live.
Good evening, Chair, board members, and Superintendent Jackson. My name is Shanna Peel, and I'm the president of Buncombe County Association of Educators and a proud EC teacher. Thank you for your service to our schools and our community first. I also want to thank Dr. Jackson and his team for the thoughtful presentation tonight and for the leadership you continue to show during a time when the challenges facing public education are significant. Yesterday, I had the wonderful opportunity to hear Dr. Jackson speak during Leadership Asheville's Education Day and to participate on a panel with community leaders. One of the themes of the program was leading through resistance. That phrase stuck with me because it perfectly describes the kind of productive struggle that so many education leaders, including you and I, experience every day. Our educators know this well. In classrooms across Buncombe County, our teachers and staff are constantly innovating, trying new strategies to reach students, reflecting on what works, and beginning that cycle again so that every child can succeed. And you, as a board, alongside district leadership, experience that same kind of productive struggle as you navigate increasingly difficult financial constraints, especially as the state continues to fall short of its responsibility to provide the resources our students need and deserve. There was another moment from yesterday that stuck with me, and that's when Dr. Jackson reminded the room that our students only get one chance at their education. And that truth sits at the heart of our Education is for All campaign. Because if our students only get one chance, then it is our shared responsibility to ensure that chance includes the support, services, and opportunities that they need to thrive. Over the past several weeks, it has been remarkable to see our community show up for that vision. From the bus lot to this boardroom to our EC forum the other night, from educators to parents, community members, and elected leaders. Together, we have been asking an important question. What would it look like and what would it feel like to truly center and prioritize our exceptional children students? Tonight, I see that a resolution on exceptional children funding is on your agenda. We are grateful that the board is considering this step to put the General Assembly on notice about how the current funding structure is affecting some of our most vulnerable students.
Thank you.
Emma Houston, please introduce yourself. You may also state the district in which you live.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Dr. Jackson. My name is Emma Houston, and I'm a structured support teacher at Black Mountain Elementary, so I'm one of the EC teachers, as well as a member of BCAE. I am here to share several practical solutions that center and prioritize exceptional children, our EC students, our EC staff, and the programs that are already working so hard in Buncombe County. These recommendations are not budget requests. They are best practice structures that strengthen collaboration, training, and instructional planning so that our EC programs can succeed. First, we recommend that the BCS administration work with the EC Advisory Council to create EC-specific training programs for instructional assistants and beginning teacher supports for our beginning EC teachers. EC classrooms require specialized instruction, data collection, and legal compliance tied to IEP implementation. When instructional assistants and new EC teachers receive training tailored to the specific needs and responsibilities, they're better prepared to support their students, maintain compliance, and work effectively as a part of our team. Second, we recommend creating district protocol for schools to design master schedules that are centered around the EC service schedules. When EC services are scheduled first, it ensures that students receive required supports without constantly being pulled from the core instruction that Dr. Reed talked about. This protocol also would include tiered supports such as intervention blocks that align with the universal design for learning. When schools design their schedule this way, it benefits everyone, not just EC students. Third, we recommend establishing an EC-specific PLC that meets at least once a semester across our feeder high school districts. These PLCs allow EC teachers from multiple schools to collaborate, share strategies, align their practices, and problem solve. EC teachers often work in isolation within their buildings where they may be the only EC staff. Creating structured collaboration across our feeder districts strengthens consistency and improves our instruction as well as builds professional support networks. Finally, we ask that the board send a resolution in support of equitable funding for our exceptional children. We are encouraged to see that this item is already on tonight's agenda and at the thoughts of lots of our administrators. Adequate state funding remains a critical piece of ensuring that our district can sustain the services that we provide. The goal of these recommendations is simple: center and prioritize our exceptional children. These are real practical solutions that Buncombe County schools can implement using our already existing structures and strengthen what already works. We are here to ensure that the education for all looks like access, feels like belonging, and sounds like collaboration in every classroom across Buncombe County schools. Thank you for your time and commitment to our students.
Thank you.
Ashley Nesbitt, please introduce yourself. You may also state the district in which you live.
Good evening, members of the Buncombe County Board of Education, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Ashley Nesbitt, and I am a comprehensive support teacher for Buncombe County Schools, and tonight I am speaking as a member of BCAE. I am also a proud product of this district. I grew up attending Buncombe County Schools, and the teachers and staff here instilled in me a genuine love of learning and a deep respect for education. The investment that this district made in me as a student helped shape who I am today, and it's one of the reasons I care so deeply about ensuring every student in our schools has the opportunity to succeed. Education is one of the most meaningful investments a community can make. When we invest wisely in our schools, we invest not only in students, but we are also investing in families, educators, and the future of Buncombe County. This year, our district's motto is Lead the Climb, and I believe that idea reflects something powerful about education. Climbing requires teamwork, preparation, and the right support systems. No one reaches the summit alone. In my role as a comprehensive support teacher, I work closely with students who have some of the most significant needs in our district. Every day, I see the dedication of exceptional children's staff, teachers, instructional assistants, therapists, and specialists who work tirelessly to support these students academically, socially, behaviorally. They bring patience, creativity, and compassion to their work, and they help ensure that every student has a path upward. But to truly lead the climb for our students with disabilities, we must make sure the educators and specialists supporting them have the resources they need, and I know that the board shares that sentiment. With that spirit of partnership, I would like to respectfully ask the board to consider 4 important steps. First, we ask that the Buncombe County Board of Education support retention bonuses for all EC staff. Retaining experienced special education professionals helps provide the stability and continuity our students rely on. Second, we ask that the board and administration lengthen the EC instructional assistants workday from 7 hours to 8 hours. This additional time would ensure assistants can fully support students, including transportation duties, planning, and coordination with staff. Third, we ask to increase the number of behavior specialists across the district from 6 to 12 positions, allowing schools to respond more effectively to student behavioral needs and better support both students and staff. Finally, we ask that the district increase staffing within the occupational therapy department by hiring 3 additional occupational therapists or occupational therapy assistants so that students can access the services that help them fully participate in their education. These steps represent meaningful investments in systems that help our students succeed. As someone who once sat in Buncombe County classrooms and now serves students in them, I am grateful for the investment this district has already made in me. I look forward to continuing our partnership together as we lead the climb.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, that concludes tonight's public comment.
Thank you very much. Our board, next on our agenda is the action agenda, with the first being the EC funding resolution. Dr. Jackson or Mr. Shatley? You want Dean to read it? Mr. Shatley, do you mind reading the resolution that we...
I'd be happy to read it.
Thank you.
I'm going to read it relatively quickly, if that's all right. Resolution in support of equitable funding for students with disabilities in Buncombe County schools. Whereas the Buncombe County Board of Education is committed to providing every child, regardless of ability, with a quality education and fostering a culture where every student will thrive and learn from exceptional educators. Whereas federal law, specifically the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, requires schools to provide children with qualifying disabilities a free and appropriate public education, which includes special education and related services, as well as early intervention for toddlers and infants. Whereas the state of North Carolina provides funding for services for students with disabilities through several budget codes, the primary being PRC 32. Whereas state funding under PRC 32 is calculated at $5,593.34 for each child participating in the district's Exceptional Children's Program. Whereas, unfortunately, the number of exceptional children that are funded under PRC 32 is capped at the lesser of the district's December 1 exceptional children's headcount, or 13% of the district's total average daily membership. Whereas Buncombe County Schools has an average daily membership of 21,467 students, with 2,816 identified as exceptional children, representing 13.12% of our student population, above the state's 13% funding cap. Whereas, due to this cap, 25 Buncombe County students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade participating in the Exceptional Children's Program are not funded by the state, resulting in a shortfall of $138,833.50 in state exceptional children funding for the 25-26 school year alone. Whereas, regardless of the cap for PRC 32, Buncombe County Schools far exceeds the per-pupil allotment provided by the state of North Carolina for exceptional children. Whereas, during the 24-25 school year, Buncombe County Schools allocated and spent $12,513.34 for every student in the Exceptional Children's Program. Whereas the state of North Carolina only provided Buncombe County Schools a state allotment of $8,132.53 per student in the Exceptional Children's Program, resulting in a shortfall of $4,380.80 per student, or a total shortfall of $13,278,235.11. $13,278,235.11. Whereas the $13,278,235.11 shortfall must be offset by using local funds provided by Buncombe County. Whereas this unfunded gap places a disproportionate burden on local resources, limits the district's ability to provide essential services, and compromises our efforts to meet both state and federal requirements for exceptional children programming. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Buncombe County Board of Education, number 1, formally urges the North Carolina General Assembly to revise the funding formula to reflect actual enrollment and service needs of students with disabilities rather than an arbitrary percentage cap. Number 2, calls upon the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction to provide supplemental funding or relief for districts like Buncombe County, which are required to serve all eligible students with disabilities regardless of the cap. Number 3, requests that state leaders acknowledge the financial impact of this cap, particularly for growing districts with a higher than average population of students with disabilities, and take urgent action to close this gap. Number 4, commits to advocating alongside other school districts, families, and stakeholders for a fair, needs-based exceptional children funding model statewide. And finally, number 5, the board pledges to continue supporting every student with a disability in Buncombe County schools while seeking sustainable and equitable solutions that ensure compliance, support, and student success.
Thank you, Mr. Shatley. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution, please.
So moved.
I believe I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion from board members? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Our EC funding resolution has passed. Thank you. Next on the action agenda is policy for approval, waive first reading, policy 1120, sustainability. I believe we have Jamie Johnson, Dr. Jamie Johnson, to provide a bit of clarification on this policy.
Thank you. Chairman Elliott, members of the board, before introducing policy 1120, sustainability, I would like to recognize the students from the A.C. Reynolds High School Environmental Club who are present with us tonight, or at least a couple of them. This proposal began as a grassroots effort driven by their initiative, research, and thoughtful advocacy. They identified an issue they care deeply about, engaged in the policy process in a constructive way, and exercised their voice as members of our school community. Students, if you are still here from the Environmental Club, will you please stand? I believe that it is important to acknowledge the example these students have set. They have demonstrated civic responsibility, patience, and a genuine desire to contribute to the long-term well-being of our school system. Their willingness to move beyond conversation and into the policy arena reflects the kind of engaged, thoughtful citizenship we strive to cultivate in our students. So with that context, I appreciate the board's consideration of policy 1120.
Thank you very much, Any questions? I know Mr. Cheatham, Chairman of our Policy Committee, do you have any things you'd like for our board to understand about the policy?
Well, I'd like to explain that the idea behind waiving the first reading, which is the process that we usually go through with a policy, there's a couple reasons for that. But number one, when you have a new policy, it takes time. And that means our administration, who crafts our policies for us, they had to meet with directors from several departments. Those include facilities and maintenance, child nutrition, finance, probably some I don't know about. And the idea there is to make sure that we never propose or adopt a policy that we can't enforce. And so it's taken some time from when the Environmental Club gave us their proposal, and we simply didn't feel like these hardworking students should have to wait anymore to have their policy put into practice. And hopefully our board will vote on that tonight. We are so proud of students just like this. These are examples of the students that we want to grow in our district. And so I'm certainly proud of all of the staff at Reynolds High School. But even more important is recognizing all of the teachers that built up these students. So that includes students or teachers and staff from Bell Elementary and Haw Creek, Oakley and Fairview and Cane Creek and Reynolds Middle. It's important to know that we build a kindergartner up to a student like you see today. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cheatham. Any questions from the board for Mr. Cheatham or Dr. Johnson? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve policy 1120, sustainability. Is there a motion?
So moved. And to waive first reading.
And to waive first reading.
So moved.
Thank you. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Policy 1120, sustainability, has been adopted. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Minutes from February 9th, 2026, special called meeting. Minutes January 12th, 2026, policy committee meeting. Personnel report, March 5th, 2026. 2025-2026 budget amendment number 4, 2025-2026 BCS academic calendar revision. Technology services intent to purchase E-rate related network switchgear. North Buncombe Middle School request to use capital athletic outlay funds. TC Robertson High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds. Cane Creek Middle School request to use capital athletic outlay funds. And policies for second reading: 3101 dual enrollment, 3101R dual enrollment, 3102 online online instruction, 5015R school volunteers. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
I believe I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our consent agenda is approved. Next is the information agenda. We have our finance reports in your board packet. We also have policies for first reading: 4130R discretionary admission release, 4203, 5021, 7273 therapy dogs in school, 4203, 5021, 7273R therapy dogs in school, 5030R facility use. Announcements and future meetings. The Board of Education will hold a policy committee meeting on March the 16th, 2026 at 1 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room at 175 Bingham Road, Asheville. The BCS Countywide Advisory Council meeting will be held on March 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Minitorium at 175 Bingham Road. And the next Board of Education regular meeting is April 2nd, 2026. Work session updates and closed session beginning at 4 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room, and the open session beginning at 5:30 p.m. in the Minitorium at 175 Bingham Road. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. All right. Motion and a second. Duly noted. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Hearing none, we are adjourned.